What should I do if a PE firm starts retrading on a deal late in process? Unfortunately, this happens. We over here have our own blacklist of firms. So there are certain private equity firms that we feel have played fast and loose with our clients, and we just won't deal with that. I don't think a lot of private equity firms do this on purpose. I think it typically happens out of ignorance. And one of the ways that I see this happen most often is a private equity firm will enter a new industry. They'll hire outside advisors, industry experts to come in and help them assess a target company. And they'll hear things that they don't like and they'll attempt to retrade. I think some retrading, this question I think really needs to be qualified, because the question is, what should I do if a PE firm starts retrading on deal terms late in the process? The answer to that question kind of depends on the why. If you've either misrepresented anything about your business, if your performance tanks after you sign an LOI, if your numbers are shoddy, you can expect retrading, right? If you say, I've got 5 million in EBITDA, and they bring in outside advisors and accounting firms to test that, and there's really 4 million in EBITDA, you should definitely expect somebody to retrade. A strategic acquirer would retrade just as a private equity firm would. You or I, if we were buyers, would retrade. We were expecting to get 5 million in cash flow, and instead we're getting 4 million. We're going to retrade. What I find particularly distasteful, though, is private equity firms trying to lock up deals and then retrading for no logical reason post LOI, specifically when it's proved out we've been forthright with our numbers and the qualifications of the business. So what should you do? Well, I think it's pretty simple for me. If they're retrading because you screwed up, that's something you're going to have to face. And you'll be able to make the decision whether or not you want to go through with the deal, right? If your EBITDA comes in short, you're going to have to make the decision. Do I want to reprice or do I want to pull out completely? If their retrading is underhanded and they were trying to lock, drop, and roll, effectively lock up the deal, drop the price, and then otherwise roll out if you didn't acquiesce to it, then I think you play hardball and you might end up walking away yourself. What psychological tactics do PE firms use to get owners to accept lower offers? Now, this was an interesting question that I've gotten more times than I can imagine. I don't really think that private equity firms use psychological trick. I've had one guy ask me, hey, what sort of psychological tricks are they going to use on me? I don't really believe that they use psychological tricks. I think they use just standard seduction, really. A private equity firm obviously wants as much proprietary deal flow as possible. And what that means is they want to buy businesses that are not competitively shopped. They want to deal with business owners that don't have an investment banker out there running a competitive process because they're going to pay a much lower price. And I think private equity firms are very, very good at kind of just the tip, right? They're able to track you down via phone or email, or, hey, we're just in the neighborhood, we don't stop by, we're interested in your industry, we'll take you out to dinner just to talk. A lot of times they'll approach people obliquely, like, hey, I'm not necessarily interested in your business, but we're interested in the industry. Let's have a glass of wine, let's have a steak, let's talk about this. Maybe we can use you as an advisor at some point going forward, or so on and so forth. And, over time they develop a relationship with you. And then of course, now you've got some investment in the process with them. You've built a relationship, you get to the point where you might have signed an NDA, now you're sharing information back and forth, you feel comfortable with them, they feel comfortable with you. If you now come to the point where you want to turn around and sell your business, let's say, you've spent a couple of months talking to a private equity firm, they've spent a lot of money on you, they've taken you to the Knicks game, they've taken you out to dinner. You've shared some numbers with you and they proffered an offer that you thought was decent, but that you could do a lot better. You might be very hesitant to go out and run a formal process. You might be very hesitant to start talking to other private equity firms because you're going to feel like, hey, they've invested in me, I've invested in them, I might offend them. And so I think sometimes people can slowly slip and slide into a deal that they don't want to be in, quite frankly, and I've seen it happen. I get calls from people that find themselves in that position and say, what should I do? So I don't know that they use psychological tricks and tactics. I just think they use common sense and seduction to try to get business owners to not deal with any other buyers, and why hire a banker and pay a banker, and why talk to other private equity firms. No one can pay more than us. And you end up signing away your business for probably a lot less than you ultimately could have gotten for it. So you need to be cognizant of that. Thank you for joining me today as I discuss my clients' most common questions regarding private equity. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly on the contact form in the description below, or join me on LinkedIn. My name is Giannamore. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one.